You're standing on a dock at Lake Travis on a Saturday morning, coffee in hand, watching a $75,000 bay boat back out of the slip next to yours. The guy driving it waves like it's nothing. Behind you, your own boat, paid off, 10 years old, still runs fine, sits quiet. You do the math without meaning to. Texas has over 922,000 registered boats on the water right now, more than almost any other state. So either everyone out here is doing better than you think, or something else is floating that boat. A truck loan, even a bad one, usually tops out around 84 months. Boat loans routinely run 10 to 20 years, some of the longest consumer financing terms available for anything that isn't a house. Current average boat loan rates sit between 8% and 9% APR, depending on credit. Run a $75,000 boat, a mid-size bay boat or cruiser, nothing extravagant by Texas lake standards, over a 15-year term at 8.5%, and the monthly payment lands around $740. That number sounds almost reasonable next to an $80,000 truck payment. Here's the number that doesn't sound reasonable. Total interest paid over that 15-year term comes out to over $58,000, nearly as much as the boat itself cost. You'd pay for the boat almost twice. A truck loses roughly 20% of its value in year one. A boat loses 20 to 30% in year one. And by year 3, total depreciation on many boats reaches 30 to 50% of the original price. So picture the math stacking up simultaneously. Year 1, you've paid maybe $8,900 toward a loan that's barely dented the principal on a boat that's already lost $15,000 to $22,000 of its value. 5 years in, on a $75,000 boat, you could easily still owe $55,000 to $60,000 on something now worth $45,000 to $50,000, underwater by $10,000 or more years before the loan is anywhere close to being finished. 15 or 20 years is longer than most marriages last, longer than most people keep a job, and often longer than the boat itself remains in good working condition before needing an engine rebuild that costs more than several years of payments combined. Here's what the $650 a month payment never includes, and it's often bigger than the payment itself. Take a realistic example, an $85,000 boat, financed at 7.5% over 15 years with 15% down. The loan payment alone runs about $679 a month. Add a marina slip at $350 a month, insurance around $150, an industry-standard maintenance reserve of 10% of the boat's value annually, about $708 a month on this boat, plus fuel and registration, and the true monthly cost of ownership climbs to roughly $2,137. That's over 3 times the loan payment alone. Run that over the full 15-year term, and total cost of ownership on an $85,000 boat reaches approximately $384,660, more than 4.5 times the purchase price, before a single dollar of that money has grown or earned anything back. And that's the budgeted version. Boat owners consistently report the real surprises aren't the predictable costs. It's the slip fee that jumps 15% after year 1, the water pump that fails in the middle of July, the bottom paint job that costs double the marina's quote because the hole was in worse shape than expected. There's an old boating adage for this, and it exists because it's true. The 2 happiest days of boat ownership are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. To be fair to the state here, Texas does something almost no other state does: 0 sales tax on boat purchases. On a $75,000 boat, that alone is several $1,000s saved at the point of sale, compared to a state that taxes it at 6 to 8%. Combine that with 0% state income tax, and a genuinely disciplined Texas boat buyer starts from real financial headroom other states simply don't offer. The problem was never that Texas makes boats expensive. It's that the same tax advantage funding a smart purchase can just as easily fund an unsustainable one. The exact same pattern we found with the trucks. Here's what's actually happening when a dealer offers a 20-year term on an asset that won't last anywhere near 20 years in usable condition. The math works exactly like the truck's 84-month trick, just stretched further. A $75,000 boat over 10 years at 8.5% runs about $930 a month. Stretch that same loan to 20 years and the payment drops to roughly $650 a month, a number that feels dramatically more approachable on an average Texas income. But the total interest on the 20-year version climbs past $80,000, more than the boat's entire purchase price paid again in interest alone. And because the boat depreciates far faster than the loan amortizes, most owners on 15 to 20-year terms are underwater for the majority of the loan's life, not just the first few years. Just like with the ranch's agricultural exemption, there's a legitimate business mechanism sitting underneath some of these purchases that most owners never use, because most boats genuinely are pleasure purchases. A boat used primarily in an actual business, charter fishing, guided tours, dive operations, qualifies as 10-year depreciable business property. Under current Section 179 rules, that opens a door to expensing up to $1,250,000 in the acquisition year. A $200,000 charter fishing boat used 100% for business could generate a $200,000 deduction against business income the same year it's purchased. The catch is the same one that applied to the ranch's rollback tax. Mixed personal and business use has to be documented, day by day, or the deduction doesn't hold up if it's ever questioned. This mechanism exists for the handful of owners running a real operation on the water, not for the person taking the boat out 3 weekends a summer and calling it a write-off. Same framework as the last 2 videos, same 3 people, different water. The first runs an actual charter or fishing operation. The boat is genuinely a business asset. The Section 179 deduction is legitimate, and the payment is built into a business budget that already accounts for it. The second bought within a real margin, used Texas's zero sales tax and zero income tax the way it's meant to be used, put a meaningful down payment down, financed on a shorter term despite the higher monthly payment, and treats it purely as a lifestyle purchase funded by genuine headroom. The third, stretched to 15 or 20 years to make the payment disappear on paper, is underwater on the loan almost by design, and just like the truck owner rolling negative equity into the next vehicle, is one bad season, one expensive engine repair, or one job loss away from a genuinely painful financial hole. The gap between a 20-year stretch payment and a genuinely affordable one tells the same story it told with a truck. A boat payment of $650 a month over 20 years costs over $80,000 in interest on top of the purchase price. Redirect even half that monthly gap, say $300 a month, into a diversified investment portfolio at a realistic 9% average annual return, and it crosses $200,000 in about 22 years, growing the entire time instead of sinking the entire time. None of this means never buy the boat. It means the difference between owning one and being owned by one usually comes down to loan term and down payment, not household income. The same instinct that stretches a boat loan to make the monthly number small enough to ignore shows up in investing too. A dividend yield of 10% or 12% looks like the smart move for the same reason a $650 a month boat payment does. It makes something unaffordable feel affordable. Usually, it means the price already collapsed or the payout is about to. Boring, paid-off assets, a used boat bought with cash, a dividend aristocrat held for decades, rarely turn heads and rarely sink anyone either. Trucks, ranches, boats. 3 videos, 3 assets, the same lesson every time. Texas hands its residents genuinely powerful financial tools: zero income tax, zero boat sales tax, an agricultural exemption that can erase a property tax bill. None of those tools care whether you use them to build wealth or to disguise a stretch you can't actually afford. Only the loan term and the bank statement know which one you're doing. We asked what to cover after trucks, and you told us. So tell us again, what's next? Drop your idea in the comments, and the top comment by likes becomes the next video on this channel.